Chapter 9. Day 14. Trent investigates the school a bit more. Heather holds a meeting to rant about hope and despair. Jeff gets a note to go to the dining room, but decides not to. Eva has a glass of water, that's it. Jeff gets a note to go to the pool, but decides not to. Bridget grabs a candlestick. Jeff gets a note to go to the arcade room, but decides not to. When the students were walking around, they find the body of Eva. After investigating, the students go to the class trial. Trent calls Heather a liability. Bridget asks Monokuma to help, and Monokuma accepts to keep the trial fair. Bridget says that they're the culprit. Sadie calls Lindsay a liability. Heather argues with Sadie about poor evidence. Sadie says that they're the culprit. Bridget gives reasons why they can't be the killer. Jeff asks Monokuma to help, and Monokuma accepts to keep the trial fair. Sadie says that they're the culprit. Lindsay shares evidence they found during the investigation. Sadie calls Jeff a liability. Everyone gangs up on Bridget. Lindsay lies about evidence. Bridget accuses Lindsay for the murder. Lindsay accuses Trent for no good reason. Heather shares evidence they found during the investigation. Bridget accuses Trent for the murder. Bridget gives reasons why they can't be the killer. Bridget has a rebuttal against Jeff. Trent argues with Sadie about poor evidence. Trent accuses Lindsay for no good reason. Sadie lies about evidence. Lindsay has a rebuttal against Trent. The students find out the murder actually took place in the theater. Bridget accuses Jeff for no good reason. Bridget backs up Trent into a corner. Heather makes rude remarks. The students find out the murder weapon is a knife. Everyone gangs up on Lindsay. Trent argues with Bridget about poor evidence. Trent asks Monokuma to help, but Monokuma declines. Everyone gangs up on Lindsay. Jeff gives reasons why they can't be the killer. Bridget asks Monokuma to help, but Monokuma declines. Bridget lies about evidence. Lindsay shares evidence they found during the investigation. Lindsay accuses Jeff for the murder. Sadie backs up Bridget into a corner. Lindsay thinks Heather is acting a bit strange. Lindsay calls Heather a liability. The students go over their alibis and figure out Sadie doesn't have one. The students back up Sadie into a corner and figure out they're the culprit. The students vote for Sadie, and are correct. Sadie's punishment is smashing, and dies. Monokuma shows a new motive. Final chapter. The students are done with Monokuma's game. They will now try to find the secret of the school. Heather has a rebuttal against Bridget. Trent tries to think of all the past trials. Bridget thinks about all the past victims. Trent finds out why they are locked in the school. Bridget threatens Monokuma to give it up already. Heather doesn't want to hear anything anymore. Trent convinces Lindsay to not give up. Heather makes Bridget remember why they are alive. Jeff makes Heather remember why they are alive. Lindsay tries to think of all the past trials. Bridget realizes that Jeff lied about their findings. The students find out about the true mastermind, Junko and Ishima. Lindsay convinces Trent to not give up. Bridget fails to comfort Heather about their situation. Heather sees Monokuma is becoming defensive. Junko tells the students about the terrible tragedy going on outside the school. Bridget makes Jeff remember why they are alive. Hope looms through Heather. Lindsay tells Heather to not trust Monokuma's fallacies. Bridget convinces Trent to not give up. Bridget makes Trent remember why they are alive. Heather threatens Monokuma to give it up already. Trent discusses about the reason why they're all here. Trent finds out why they are locked in the school. Heather threatens Monokuma to give it up already. Jeff became mute for a moment. Heather realizes that Bridget lied about their findings. Bridget discusses about the reason why they're all here. Heather thinks about all the past victims. Trent confesses to Lindsay about their wrongdoings in the past. Bridget finds contradictions in Monokuma's statements. Heather tries to think of all the past trials. Lindsay makes Jeff remember why they are alive. Heather convinces Bridget to not give up. Trent thinks about all the past victims. Trent discusses about the reason why they're all here. Bridget fails to comfort Jeff about their situation. Bridget falls into despair. Bridget confesses to Jeff about their wrongdoings in the past. Lindsay finds out why they are locked in the school. Heather finds out why they are locked in the school. Heather falls into despair. Heather fails to comfort Trent about their situation. Lindsay threatens Monokuma to give it up already. Heather tells Trent to not trust Monokuma's fallacies. Lindsay makes Bridget remember why they are alive. Bridget became mute for a moment. Lindsay confesses to Heather about their wrongdoings in the past. Heather convinces not to give up on hope, and defeats Junko and Ashima. Everyone decides to back up Junko, and vote for her as the culprit. Junko has lost the hope. She will now be given the ultimate punishment. The killing game is finally over. Only 5 people survived. Trent, Bridget, Lindsay, Jeff, Heather. But with the power of hope, they will live on. Normal end, ending 1/6.